Could Manuel Ugarte be on Liverpool's shopping list this summer? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video we are centering it around Sporting Lisbon's midfielder Manuel Ugarte, who Liverpool have said to be interested in for a little bit of time. And it seems that reports are starting to snowball and gather momentum over Liverpool's interest, so much so that apparently Liverpool are preparing to maybe even meet the release clause of the 22-year-old midfielder this summer in a hope to obviously beef up and improve upon their midfield issues. We're going to be talking about this potential transfer that might be going ahead this summer in the upcoming transfer window in this video, talking about Ugarte, talking about Liverpool and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the video. I also encourage you to get involved in the comment section as well on this potential news topic and transfer story of Manuel Ugarte maybe going to Liverpool this summer. I'm sure you'll all have thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on that down below in the comment section, and I'm sure they'll all make for great and interesting reading. But like I say, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk about Manuel Ugarte, because this is a player that, admittedly, I'm not a massive fan of the Portuguese league. I don't really watch any Portuguese teams unless they're in the Champions League or maybe even in the Europa League. So admittedly, I don't know too much about this guy solely. I don't know a lot about this guy. But from having done a bit of research, having done a bit of watching of some compilations and stuff like that, having seeing what a lot of other people are saying about him and doing my research, doing my homework, so to speak, this guy does very much intrigue me. This guy does very much interest me. He's 22 years of age, so of course he's still relatively young and still got a lot of time to grow and everything else to go along with that age. And of course he can get better in a better league with better players around him under a better manager and so on and so forth, and continue to evolve his game. So there's that side of him as well. But he's made 83 appearances for Sporting this season. I think he's made something like 45 in all competitions solely this season, only missing out on a couple through suspension. So it's not like we're after an injury-prone midfielder like we tend to do. But like I said, this player does very much intrigue me because of what he brings to his side of Sporting, what he brings to the table. This guy is an absolute pressing machine. This guy is an absolute industrious machine in the middle of the pitch. His tackling, his interceptions, and his ball recovery is absolutely insane. His stats for the Portuguese league are top of their game pretty much. When you look at his stats and everything that goes along with his defensive side of his game, this guy in the number 6 could be absolutely incredible. He's an absolute workhorse. He's Uruguayan, so maybe you could stereotypically a little bit say that maybe he's got that kind of South American spirit, that drive, that determination, that hunger to be that kind of player. We've seen it a lot from South Americans in particular. They have that kind of real workhorse energy, sort of industrious spirit of working hard with high work rate and everything. Liverpool fans even saw it with Luis Suarez. He might have been a striker, but he created a lot out of very little. This guy may not be anything fancy or flashy. He may be more simplistic and more safe when in terms of being in possession of the ball. But his recovery, his interceptions, his tackling, his positional awareness, everything about the defensive side of his game from this midfielder is top of his game. There is obviously the gamble of, you know, he's coming from the Portuguese league, and I know that Premier League teams are starting to look more at the Portuguese league as a source of new players and new talent to arise and to obviously come over to the Premier League. And it will be a question of whether he can adapt to the league, whether he can adapt to the lifestyle over here in England, and whether or not he can adapt to the club as well. And it's also a question of Will he be able to carry that form that he's showing in the Portuguese league at Sporting Lisbon over to the Premier League, where of course he'll be coming up against better players, more technically gifted players, and everything along those lines? I'm pretty sure he will. I've got confidence that he will be able to maybe not replicate to the full extent of what he's doing at Sporting Lisbon, given obviously the shift in terms of talent and quality over here in comparison to the Portuguese league, with all due respect. But at the same time, I would still expect him to carry that kind of spirit over here that I've talked about in this video already. And on the eye test, like I say, he does look like your typical Jurgen Klopp kind of player, when obviously you consider all of those aspects, all of those qualities and traits and everything along those lines that he possesses. They simply could work well within this Jurgen Klopp side, work well within what Jurgen Klopp looks for in a midfielder, and obviously help towards making this side better, help towards improving this side, and obviously resurrecting what has become a very stale and very lackluster, shall we say, midfield, obviously across this past season. His role simply is to win the ball back. He'll be playing relatively at a number 6 role, and obviously when you consider that Liverpool have been changing and tweaking their tactics a little bit in terms of making Trent a more inverted fullback, shall we say, still technically playing on in the right back role, but obviously moving more into midfield, having a bit more of a free role, shall we say, from that midfield, from that right back position. His role will simply be to win the ball back, and then give it to one of the more influential players. Like I say, he's nothing fancy, he's nothing flashy, he's more simple and safe when he's on the ball. But when you look at the likes of the players that Liverpool have, he doesn't need to be. Liverpool's main fault this season has been that they've been outrun and also not aggressive enough. This guy can run, he's a proper engine in that midfield, and he is aggressive. And if he wins the ball back well, like he has been doing for Sporting, he could just play it simple and play it safe to the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Thiago if he stays and is fit enough to play, or one of the forward line to just obviously keep things going and transition defence into attack, giving the ball to the more influential players. He doesn't need to be the playmaker. He doesn't need to be the guy to obviously get the goals, get the assists. There are other players in that team that can do that. He doesn't do that at Sporting Lisbon anyway, so it's going to obviously be mad to think that he could actually do it over here. He does need to work on his forward progression a little bit. When obviously he is giving the ball, he's not really moving it forward. But again, does he really need to in a Sporting Lisbon side that may possess some more creative outlets than him? Not necessarily. It depends obviously where the influential players are on the pitch when he does win the ball back. But again, he is 22 years of age. He can work on that side of his game. He can work on moving the ball forward and maybe more quickly in that aspect. And he can obviously be moulded and still shaped at that young age to obviously fit more into the Jurgen Klopp side and more into what obviously Jurgen Klopp wants from him. This guy really does intrigue me in terms of what obviously he can bring to a very stale midfield of Liverpool that has obviously dropped off so much this season. And talking of drop off, it's the perfect, I wouldn't say replacement, because I think we're already losing enough midfielders as it is, but he's the perfect competition for Fabinho. We all know Fabinho has dropped off massively this season. I don't think there's been quite a massive drop off like it, but he is the perfect replacement, perfect competition, perfect rotation for Fabinho. Like I say, if you look at what he brings to this side, swapping out Fabinho could be a good choice to have going forward. It adds depth to Liverpool. It adds more quality to Liverpool. And like I say, it gives Fabinho a rest. It gives Klopp something more to think about. It gives Fabinho himself something more to think about, because I think that he's mainly rode on the fact that there isn't really a number 6 that Liverpool have. If you bring in a number 6, it provides competition. It gives Fabinho some food for thought to think about in terms of his own performances. It gives Klopp some food for thought in terms of his starting 11. I think it would give Fabinho maybe the kick up the backside that he may need in order to sort his performances out. I think over the past couple of games he has improved, but it seems a bit too little too late, if you know what I mean. This could be a very, very good signing as far as what Liverpool are concerned in those kinds of aspects, and the aspects that Liverpool have dropped off in this season in terms of personnel in the squad like Fabinho, in terms of working hard, in terms of covering ground, in terms of obviously winning the ball back and ball recovery, as well as being a screen and protection to that back four. This guy could provide all of that, and of course we know that he isn't going to be doing it all on his own. We know that Liverpool have to go out and they have to spend on more players. They have to bring in more quality. We've already talked about Alexis McAllister this season. Could he, along with Ugarte, be a good duo in that midfield of the 2 of the 3 or 4 or however many midfielders Klopp seems to want to incorporate into that midfield as far as new additions go, or as far as what his squad will take for next season, his starting 11, all of those kinds of things. It'll be very interesting to see how this one develops, but this one does seem to be gathering momentum. For the money, look, again, it does seem to be in the ballpark of what FSG and their model are obviously trying to incorporate on this Liverpool side. So the money doesn't seem to be an issue. I can't imagine personal terms will be either. Of course, Liverpool seemingly are facing a bit of competition from a couple of other Premier League teams who have seemingly taken a shine to him as well. So that could be interesting to see where Ugarte's future does lie. But Liverpool do seem to be one of the front runners to signing him this summer. And obviously with the qualities and traits and everything that I've talked about in this video so far, it's easy to see why Liverpool would take a shine to him and would have him on their radar. Personally, like I say, I am intrigued by this. I am quite excited by this. Not just because he doesn't have to be the creative outlet that obviously a lot of people seemingly are wanting from midfielders now. He could work on that side of his game if he wanted to. Obviously, he is, like I say, 22 years of age. Still got a lot of time to grow. And obviously, Klopp, I'm sure, would love to kind of mould him in his image, in his philosophy, in his ideology of how he wants to play and everything. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by this potential transfer. Very intrigued by what he can offer and what he can bring to the table. And I'm pretty sure that with the kind of player that he is, with his workhorse-like mentality, I'm pretty sure that he will bed in very well at the club. Obviously, like I say, Premier League teams are looking more towards the Portuguese league now to bring in talent. Wolves brought in plenty over the years. You look at Manchester United bringing in the likes of Bruno Fernandes. Manchester City brought in the likes of Ederson and Ruben Diaz, just to name a couple. More and more of them, more of these Premier League teams are looking more towards the Portuguese league for new talent, and Ugarte could be the next in line to obviously make his way. Even Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez at Liverpool, of course. You know, more and more of these Portuguese teams are producing talents that the Premier League are taking shines to. So Ugarte could be the next in line for that. It could be very intriguing to see how he plays out, and I'm pretty sure he will go down like a treat with not just his teammates, but I think with the Liverpool fans as well, given his industrious work rate and attitude. So this one could be very intriguing to keep your eyes on going forward. But these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Manuel Ugarte and a possible move to Liverpool being on the cards this summer? I'm sure you guys have all your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on this particular news story. And I'm sure they'll all make for interesting and great reading down below in the comment section, I'm sure. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, want to see more content like this. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video.